Okay, so we at Happy Geek had the privilege of go and try out some Google Glass today. What did you think, Danny?
Well, I actually really enjoyed it, but I think for the price range, it's not really going to be for me.
I think they were quite specific when they spoke to me about it, is that they don't intend it to go out on shelves. It's not actually for everyone just at the moment. It's almost like it might take a couple of iterations before they can actually get it down to something that's used for everybody.
Yeah. And, well, if you do need to know, it's £1,000 at the moment to buy it on the market. It'll cost an extra £175 to actually put prescription lenses on it, and it'll cost £120 to put regular non-prescription lenses on it, and that's per lens.
Okay, so I saw a couple of people without lenses on. Is that still so that's just the base model?
Yeah, that is literally the base model that you can buy, and it's still pretty slick and quite nice to look at, but it's still $1,000 for this thing that they actually said is not really for constant use. It's for just wearing and occasionally looking up at it. At first, you're supposed to, like, whenever you're getting used to it, look at it repeatedly, and then eventually you'll just forget about it altogether, and then occasionally just look up and see whatever time it is, or maybe take a picture or something like that.
Yeah, before we get into the actual features, I think it's important to say that, as we mentioned before on Happy Geek, I can't see terribly well in my right eye, and that was a big problem today. Putting on the Google Glass, it was only aligned to one eye, and there was no way I could kind of switch it around. Now, they've told me that will eventually be developed, but for the most part of today, it meant that I wasn't able to kind of fully experience Google Glass, really. So, Danny, if you could kind of run us through the main features, that'd be great.
It really offers a good voice recognition software, which basically is how you operate the entire Google Glass system. Actually, I'm going to call it Glass from now on because I keep getting tongue-tied. So yeah, the Glass lets you basically talk to it, and what happened was they give you a small introduction to how to use the Glass whenever you went to the event, and you put it on and it says "OK Glass," and that's what you have to say. You have to say to your little instrument "OK Glass" to get it to turn on. And for me, I felt really awkward having to talk to it.
I think this is a big problem with voice recognition stuff, and the same with Siri as well on Apple. I don't want to have to be speaking to myself, and I find that a bit bizarre, and it feels like an effort almost to have to say these things and memorise the phrases that you need to say almost.
Well, they do offer like a menu, a scroll down menu that has the first instruction, like translate this or Google this or take a picture and things like that to remind you of some of the functions. But it's still quite annoying, I think, to have to talk to it, because I don't like having to sort of talk to myself in public. It makes me really awkward, especially if you have to use these robotic phrases. Although I will say this about the voice recognition software, it's quite advanced, because it could actually understand me, and I thought with my accent it's going to be a bit difficult, but it read me perfectly.
I think it did struggle though. In the room we were in, was quite loud at times, and that was in a environment where it did struggle quite a bit.
Yeah, well, I thought it worked quite well even in the loud environment. I'd say if you went to a concert or something, it might struggle even more, but if you're at a public event or something, I'd say the voice recognition software will work quite nicely. Okay,
so I'm really quite eager to tell you all about what we actually did with Google Glass, and they had a sort of environment set up for us to walk into, different stations that basically showcased what they called, was it glassware? That's the word they're using now?
Yeah, glassware.
And glassware is their word for apps, especially. I think it's quite clever of them to kind of come up with a completely different term for it. But let's talk a little bit about all these different stations they had set up and all the different tasks they had us use the Google Glass for.
Well, at first they showed us the introduction, which was very, very simple. It was just how to turn it on, which is just tap the frame, and it's literally that simple. There's a small sort of swiping area that you can use, and you just tap it, it comes on, and you just say OK Glass, and it'll open up. Then there's a small menu that you can scroll through by looking up and down, and it's got different phrases there that you can use to use the Google Glass, and it was very, very simplistic. So what they taught us there was just to take a picture. So it was literally all you have to say is "Okay, glass," and then take a picture. Yeah, it was really easy. And if you wanted to then go through the pictures, you went to the frame again and just swiped your finger along it, and it would go through each and every one of the pictures, as well as showing you a few of the latest news updates if you went far enough across.
So what was next after that?
Well, after that, we walked over to another desk with more glasses, and we were told that these ones have a different app type thing installed, which basically allows you to listen to some music, and if you say, "Recognize this," it'll analyze the music and then tell you what song is playing, as well as putting the lyrics up in real time as they're playing. So, it might be quite a good little app for karaoke or something like that.
Yeah, I thought having that kind of visual response with it, with the lyrics, was something that kind of sets it apart from something like Shazam, for example.
Yeah,
That was quite nice.
And I think it's actually more advanced than Shazam, because there's quite a lot of times where I've used Shazam and it's not quite worked as well as it has with the glass, so never know.
Okay, what was after that then?
After that, you found a big wall that had lots of different signs in different languages, and obviously with the glass there is a Google Translate type thing, and you just say, "Translate this." You pick whatever language that is printed, say, on the wall, and it'll translate it for you in a small picture. So whatever, if it's German for "Beware of Cliff," it'll tell you that on the sign. So it looks as if it is written on the sign in English, which I thought
that was quite a cool implementation. The one drawback to that I found is the fact that you have to be able to identify the language that you're reading.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a kind of trouble for us both when it was kind of French and Italian and Spanish, quite similar sort of languages. But I guess if you're quite pre-informed with that might be able to get better with the new iteration of it. They might almost be able to auto-detect the text. Who knows?
Yeah. And as well, I found that whenever you find the language, you have to tap the glass and it'll bring up the menu, and then you just swipe through to find whichever language. And it took quite a few taps for me to actually get it up. I don't know if that was just a problem with the glass that I was using, but it wouldn't quite work for me for a long time, and eventually I had to ask the man to come over and help.
So I thought that was quite useful. I think that's kind of a revolutionary way. It kind of combines a whole load of things, and it really does work with the glass. Although I think the technology is available on phones as well.
Yeah, there are apps like this for phones and things, so it's not exactly new technology, but it is implemented in a way that is very, very easy to use.
So now on to my favourite part of today, and this was something I could still kind of appreciate, was using the Google Glass to look at the stars and look at a star chart in real time with GPS to see where the stars would actually be appearing in the night sky.
Yeah, I loved this as well. It was one of the prettiest examples of augmented reality that I've seen, because you could be looking straight ahead and seeing all the stars that would have been in the sky, and it showed you all the constellations as well as describing them to you through a little earpiece sort of thing in the back.
It's like kind of external speaker almost that kind of pushed up against your ear and plays the sound to you, so you can still hear it even though the earpiece itself doesn't actually enter your ear. But that was something that I found to be a little issue with the Google Glass. In the loud room that we were in, it was quite difficult to hear that without really pressing it down to your head and actually maybe covering your ear with your hand. So that was, I guess it was a drawback.
No, it definitely was, but it wasn't the biggest problem with the glass, I don't think. I think the main problems that's going to come with the glass, one, is price, with the accessories costing, say if you wanted stereo earbuds, it's going to cost you £65, and if you wanted the mono, it's going to cost you £40, and if you wanted, say, a padded case or a pouch for your glass, it's going to cost you £40, and then a clear shield visor is going to cost you an extra £60. So it's an expensive item.
It is, and I think the accessories really do bump the cost up even further.
Really,
some of those.
It puts it up to nearly £1,500 then. And as well, there's going to be a big debate going on right now about privacy and Google Glass, and that's becoming a big problem. And we could see some places banning Google Glass altogether.
So yeah, an exciting walkthrough of all the different features of Google Glass. Hope to see maybe Google address some of the issues that we discussed today. But yeah, all in all, good day.